Hey, what is going on, guys? We had some technical difficulties on that last round between transitions, but we are back and we are kicking off the network block here at Victims and Villains, our 24-hour fundraising stream. We're just kind of just jumping into it. My name is Josh, and I'm one of the co-hosts of this next podcast. Welcome to Abyss Gazing, a horror podcast where we celebrate all things spooky and mental health.
And I'm your other co-host, Mark.
And so if you guys liked Corey, you like Santa Pine Hills, please go check them out. They are it is a great project. I have been friends with Corey. Several of us here at Victims and Villains have for several years. I love that man to death. And Victims and Villains is getting into more music. We on October 7th, we're going to be doing a fundraiser benefit show at another Round Bar and Grill, and we are joined by our guest tonight, one of the bands playing that show. It's October 7th, doors at 7, first band takes the stage at 7:30. We are joined by Mickey Graves from Rest Aside. Mickey Graves, West Side.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing this fine evening?
I'm doing good, actually. I'm about to have a get together with my Blue Ridge crew.
We don't talk about that trauma anymore.
If you know, you know. Much good come out of that.
Well, a lot of good came out of it for us, at least. We had Creed, we had good friends, and yeah, we'll be going back next year if it happens.
Well, let's talk about the music of Rest Aside real quick. Just kind of peeling this back. This is our second attempt at this because we had some audio issues with the first one. Kind of walk us through the creative process or the sound of Rest Aside.
I got you. So originally Rest Aside started as a project between Ryan and Tyler back in like 2019, but the writing had began in 2017, and they had put out a lot of feeler tracks with an old lineup, and they put out a lot of like Kill Switch Engage sounding music, and well, they realized they didn't want to make that anymore. So whenever me and Zach had joined, they had decided they wanted to start pushing the band forward with a more pop-based metal sound. And yeah, that's how our sound that we have now started. We got songs like Fall to the Few. That was so we could write a song that was really heavy so that nobody could bitch and be like, oh, well, they're not heavy. We can be heavy, but I like playing more pop music, I guess you'd say.
I know that about you. Yeah, so I'm curious if you can kind of like walk us through because there is a lot of like emo. So for like people that grew up in the era of Warped Tour, there's a lot of emo influence with you guys. Can you kind of walk us through kind of artists that influenced the sound of Rest Aside?
So if you look, Ryan and Tyler, you can tell they're emo kids. They listen to a lot of like Alisana, Motionless in White, Ice Nine Kills, bands like that for them. And on my end, I get my inspiration from bands like Woe Is Me, like Moths to Flames, Polaris, Dance Gavin Dance. There's a lot of random sounds for me, but like playing bass, my biggest inspiration in that field is definitely Tim Pierce from Dance Gavin Dance.
Nice. All right. Well,
yeah, I just ended up going down the heavy metal path.
Yeah.
So I remember the day back in the day when the Black album came out, And it was just kind of a, what is this? And everything went downhill from there. So, yeah.
No, it's funny. The first album that I remember coming out is The Black by Asking Alexandria.
I thought you froze there for a second, Mick.
Oh, I got you. I was wondering what was going on.
Well, yeah. So we're pressed for time today, and you want to, instead of talking about Rest Aside, do you want to jump into listening to some Rest Aside?
Yeah, let's do it. I listened to a lot of Rest Aside. I just did earlier.
All right, the song that you guys are getting ready to hear is a song called Existence. We'll be right back.
Looking back to a time before the love of your life, and you were so strong. That happiness was success, and all the money would ensure you could live out your day on your downfall. I can't afford this gentle dance of what I really want in my life.
And that was Rest Aside. We're gonna go ahead. Yeah, so you guys can stream that wherever you guys get your music from, but you guys can see them perform the album live for a great cause at another
Yes.
bar, another round bar and grill here in Richmond,
At another
Virginia.
bar. I like that one better. Another bar.
Well, I didn't get a chance to tell you this last weekend because we never missed each other. But happy birthday, bro!
Dude, thank you. So yeah, that was wild because I was so excited to see Woe Is Me, and I thought they got canceled 3 songs in.
Sorry.
That shit was wild.
But we are talking about Halloween, moving on to some happier topics and happier moments. What does this franchise mean for you guys, each of you guys? Because Mickey, this is one that you brought to us.
Yeah, so for me, Halloween it's the movie that got me to like horror movies, I guess you'd say. Because as a child, I remember my grandma used to like make me watch a horror movie with it and go to bed in the dark, and that was awful. And then one day, I'll watch like horror since I found Halloween.
Please pardon the interruption. Bad connection. Hope everyone's having a great day. Mark, you okay?
I'm glad it's the weekend. Why? I'm just glad it's the weekend.
Yeah.
Did we lose him?
I don't know.
TGIF indeed, Zambies. TGIF indeed. Well, I think this was the first. I don't. While we figure out what's. While ever he is wherever he currently is, because it seems like he's kind of broken up. I don't know. Maybe his service is just bad where he's at. But I know this was kind of like the first like thing. Like Halloween was the first thing that we ever like bonded over. In terms of franchises, because I think we both love this franchise and Scream, but this was like the first one we kind of clicked about.
Was this the I'm trying to think, was this before I became more of a regular guest and eventually co-host? Was I just a guest on Victims in Village Junk at this point?
I think it may have been. I left the wrong logo up. So there it goes. We're back to abyss gazing. We're just swimming in technical difficulties tonight. It's all good. But yeah, I think it might have been like one of the first ones that we ever kind of talked about, never like really addressed. I love this franchise. This franchise really kind of got me through some really tough times. As weird as that says, looks like Mickey's back.
All right. Yeah, I had connection issues.
It's all good.
You're out there on 95, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, that's a complete and total shit show in and of itself. So.
Yeah. So we'll get her done.
So yeah, Halloween's one of the first movies I think we did anything major with between me and Josh. And it's one of those, I think I've told the story on Abyss Gazing before, that I got up one morning at like 4 a.m, 3 a.m, something like that, and snuck out to the living room. This is like late 80s, super early 90s, and turned on is either Halloween. Let's see. 4 dealt with the girl, so it had to have been 5, I think. That I
5
saw.
still dealt with the girl.
It did?
Yeah.
They all dealt with the girl.
To an extent, he's not wrong.
Well, the little girl. It was the one where he pinned somebody to a door with a shotgun.
That's the fifth
I
one.
think it was 5 where it was the
Yeah.
hospital. That
Hospital
got
was
burned
2.
down, right?
Yeah.
Hospital was
That
2.
was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
Right,
that.
yeah.
So just as like trivia. So the reason that they have that sequence in there particular was because Carpenter basically really wanted to kill Michael Myers and like be done, transform it into an anthology, which is the reason why we have Season of the Witch. So
And everybody hated that movie.
Speak for yourself. I love that movie.
That's why they went back to Michael Myers, though, was because everybody was like, no, fuck that. We want Michael.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Box office receipts will go in your favor, but Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is become a cult classic now.
Yeah, I think that
Well,
they should have
that's the
turned
one.
Michael
That
Myers into
specific
its
one
own
was the
thing
first one I saw.
and just like Twilight Zone, the Halloween franchise, like they planned on doing.
I almost feel like it's not too late because like if you're going to do something like that, I think like you could do that now because now we live in an era where it's like they're so widely accepted to where you have things like the Twilight Zone that have become like mainstream. You have Tales from the Crypt that has its calling.
God, I love that show.
You have Black
Tales,
Mirror.
Tales from the Crypt messed up a lot of people.
Yeah. But you're like, we live in an era now where anthologies are more accepted. That's the reason why Season of the Witch, I believe, was always ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah, dude, definitely. Season of the Witch is, storyline-wise, is my only issue with that movie.
That story's wild. That's the reason I love it.
But yeah, that was like I was saying, that Halloween was the first one I ever saw at like 3 a.m, and then went to elementary school in like 3rd or 4th grade after watching it.
I'm so sorry that you started off with what, in my opinion, is the worst one. I love this franchise, and
I was definitely
season
like Halloween.
Part 5 is always the lowest part.
I remember you said that last time whenever we tried to do it, that you did not fuck with 5.
No, not one bit. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, it's all out.
Oh. Am I the only one here without technical issues? If you got technical issues,
Mine picked up and started working again.
Look in the chat. If you guys see technical issues, for every time, donate $1. All of that money is the reason why we're here tonight, and it's also going towards getting mental health resources in the community centers, film festivals, conventions, music venues like Another Round Bar and Grill, and more. So support the cause.
I mean, am I going to end up needing some mental health resources after all these technical difficulties and trying to do this episode?
Text me your address. I have your address. I can send you down some. I will say, go ahead.
Michael Myers is just like, to me, he was the better of the slashers. Just something about Myers as a whole, as a character.
I agree with that.
The better of the bunch, the more fun of the bunch.
I agree with that. I feel like Jason Voorhees could have been the better, but it just didn't happen.
They just copy and paste it for Friday the 13th. It was
If they would have expanded on his character instead of just like, yo, he can stab someone with a machete, that would have been so cool.
And then don't forget the one where he went after somebody with a weed eater with a saw blade.
No, don't forget Jason X. That's the biggest monstrosity that has ever happened to the horror genre.
We did an episode on that.
We did, and I just put it in the chat below. You guys can check it out. Check out our episode on Jason X, wherever you guys get it. It was one of our first episodes of this year.
I got told by somebody that they actually really liked that movie one time.
That's the crazy thing about like the Friday the 13th fandom is that there are diehard fans of like some of the lesser liked ones, like Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason X. I don't
Jason Takes
understand
Manhattan
it.
was bad.
I don't understand it, but like I also there's a lot of people that hate Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday.
I liked that one.
I love that one. That one's so much fun.
I saw that one in the theater.
So jealous.
Dude,
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. I saw Halloween, I think it was 6 in the theater
Nice.
when it came out. And actually,
dude,
the
I
funny
think Chucky
story,
did the copy and paste thing best.
it was either Friday the 13th or the Halloween. Me and a friend went to go see. The theater made my mom buy the tickets because we were under the R-rated age. And then we went to go in, and they didn't want to let me and my friend in because my mom didn't go in with us. They finally went ahead and let us in, and we got to see it. But yeah, they like ID'd us and didn't want us to go in and watch the movie, even though we had just bought the tickets.
But yeah, the Halloween franchise to me is it's one of those franchises that first off that I obviously love. It is a franchise that means a lot to me. The reason that I say it means a lot to me, especially Rob Zombie's second one, is because it was really close to the DVD release date was really close to when I had a friend that took his life. I watched that movie on nauseam because it just I felt like really connected, really resonated with those characters and their journey. And like honestly, like I can't describe it.
Yeah, I
Like,
really like the
anytime
storyline for that movie.
anytime I feel like I have it like tattooed on my freaking hand. Like I love that movie. But honestly, like I feel like that thing that I keep coming back to is that these particular movies, like whatever timeline you're talking about, like they are just so entertaining, and they're a lot deeper than a lot of the other slashers. And it's sometimes like even like crazier. Like when you talk about the Cult of Thorn timeline, that is just absolutely a bonkers story.
Yeah, I do wish they had done more with the Cult of Thorn thing. That would have been interesting to see how they played that out, as opposed to jumping to H2O a few years later.
Hey, don't talk shit. H2O was a good movie.
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't.
That's my
I just
favorite
would have
Halloween
liked to
movie.
have seen where they went with the cult.
The cult was a good touch to the storyline. They just
it
like
also
said,
gave us Paul
he's
Rudd.
from a cult, didn't touch on it. Wasn't that like his first major acting role too?
That was his first major acting role, and I believe it's his only role where he's actually credited as Paul Stephen Rudd.
The more you know.
Fact.
Yeah, he had some uncredited stuff before that in commercials.
But yeah, it was his first like Hollywood major role. So if you guys are just joining us, we are Biscazing here at Victims and Villains. We are the horror podcast. We are here raising money for victims and villains to get mental health resources into various places of pop culture. And we're so pleased that you guys joined us. We're talking about Halloween with Rest Aside bassist Mickey Graves. Yeah, I feel like this one too, and like in terms of like, you know, when you talk about the differences, I feel like this one is fascinating to see. My pastor just joined into the chat. And so we'll do a brief aside real quick. Can you guys discuss why The Haunting in Connecticut is the greatest horror movie of all time? Thanks for all you do. I don't think it's the greatest horror movie of all time. I don't even think it's in the top 10 possession movies of all time. What do you guys think?
What, Haunting
I
in
agree.
Connecticut? Haunting in Connecticut. I don't. That wasn't even a possession movie. That was a haunting movie, like the title says.
It's not even in the. It's not even in the realm of top 5 haunting movies.
Paranormal Activity did it better, and they weren't even good.
Mark, I see you in the chat over here.
No, I'm not.
He says, "Okay, well, what about fingernails in the box? Not scary?" Question mark.
There was a scene from Haunting in Connecticut.
I am aware. It's Haunting in Connecticut. I feel like is one of those movies that is like it's okay to watch once, but it doesn't have a lot of rewatch value.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was another one that was based on a Warren's case, like The Conjuring and things like that.
Amityville Horror, yeah.
That whole series.
Dude,
of
I don't
movies.
know why there's so many movies that's made about like them, but I want to see something new.
Look, if you guys want a recommendation for something that is in that realm, I highly recommend checking out The Pope's Exorcist. It's streaming on Netflix. It's a great movie. Russell Crowe's fantastic in it. It's a great dude. Don't knock it. It's a great little haunting movie.
It's a fun movie. I'm actually looking forward to possibly seeing The Nun this weekend, The Nun 2.
Same.
So
I did not
talk
like
about
the
it.
first
we're
one.
gonna watch. They kind of let everybody down with that one.
Yeah, I did
Well,
not like that movie.
It's not horror. It's not horrible, but it's got some high points to it.
However,
Out of the whole like series, that was definitely the worst one they dropped.
No,
However,
Annabelle is.
Or the
Annabelle.
universe,
But
I guess you'd say.
when you look at the trilogy that they have done for Annabelle, the first one sucked. The second and third one were incredible. And I think that's kind of what you could see with The Nun, where not a whole lot of people. I don't hate The Nun. Just for the record, but The
I
Nun
didn't hate it. I was just disappointed because it didn't live up to what it could have been.
is
And they
fine.
relied far
I know,
too
the Nun
heavily on CG.
Great.
Yeah, I will give you that. I rewatched it earlier this week because I'm
Yeah,
sick of
we're
Nicolas
watching the first one tonight and then going to watch the second one probably tomorrow or Sunday.
Yeah. Well, while Mickey reconnects real quick, I'm gonna jump back into Halloween. Did we get him back? No, we didn't. Okay.
I think this is pretty much how our discussion went when we tried to tape this the first time.
It's fine. One of the things that I really like about Halloween as a whole is I like that this is a movie that actually feels fleshed out. Like you're getting to kind of see how generations are dealing with trauma. Specifically when they talking about mental health, like it's not just something that affects Lori, but it affects Jamie Lloyd. It affects Josh Hartnett's character from John Tate, his character from Halloween H2O. It affects Annie. It affects the Sheriff Brackett from the aforementioned Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Then we get to see with the new trilogy how it affects 2 generations of Strohs. I think when you talk about mental health and horror, and specifically slashers, I feel like are a subgenre of horror that oftentimes can be really slapsticky, can be really funny. But when you talk about mental health, I think this one handles it the best. And I know that's probably a bold statement to make, but it's my opinion. And that's kind of the reason that I love this franchise.
They've definitely got a good handle on mental health.
I mean, I like the Halloweens because it's a choose your own adventure.
Here we go.
If you don't like one storyline, you could just watch a different set of movies and you get a completely different storyline. So it's choose your own adventure.
It is your choose your own adventure, but every single storyline is embracing that mental health aspect. It is finding some way to rotate it back to the original. Aside from Season of the Witch, it's finding a way to rotate it, bring it back to Michael and Lori.
Yeah. So, hold up, I forgot where I was going with that. I got I gotta remember that. All right, never mind. Oh yeah, no, I remember now. Dr. Loomis. I don't like how in the Rob Zombie one, this man wrote a book and was trying to profit off of the Michael Myers case.
I mean, honestly, like I've spent years wrestling with this, and I think that I've kind of reached a point where like I don't necessarily mind it. I think that all right, Cam, I see you in the chat. I will get to you in 1 second. I think for the way that Rob Zombie portrayed him, I think it's kind of a realistic approach. I mean, you look at the way that we take tragedy now, and we are embracing it, and it almost even like celebrating it to the point where like South Park did a great episode on it, where it's this recent fascination of true crime. And you have documentaries, podcasts, books, television shows. Like there's an entire like culture of it now. So I think it's kind of like that progression. I think that's one of the reasons that I would argue Rob Zombie with the second one a little bit ahead of his time.
You talk about the mental health aspects of it, and the Rob Zombie one kind of went into more of the mental health behind Michael Myers himself. The whole psychopath and all that stuff. That's kind of why I like that one a little better than the original, is because of how they kind of created more of a story for Michael Myers, even though you like the mystery around Michael Myers better.
Yeah. So Cam brought this up, and I will talk about this. He says, what about Leslie Vernon though? Better slasher than Michael Faucheux. So what's funny about this comment right here is
they acknowledge Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers as being legends.
They do, but what I was gonna say is funny about this is that the writer of this movie had his world premiere for his new short film set in that universe at this past year's Horrific Hope. And I just texted him a picture of your comment. So we'll see what he says.
Yeah, Leslie Vernon. I mean, there's a lot of movies that even acknowledge how influential that Halloween was. And Leslie Vernon happens to be one of them. They make a comment about how Jason and Michael Myers were legends and pioneers of basically being serial killers because they had gimmicks.
That's part of the reason that I love that movie. Like I will go on the record and say this, that I don't think Behind the Mask is a better movie than Halloween. And I say that because Halloween's a classic. However, I will say that Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, I love that movie and place it up there with, some of the other greats like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Black Christmas, Nightmare Before Christmas, Friday the 13th. Like, I adore that movie, and I highly, highly recommend it. If you guys have never seen it, it is well worth the rental price to check it out.
I do feel like Black Christmas needs more exposure. The original.
Yes.
With who is it, Margot Kidder?
Yeah, Margot.
They need it seems more of a cult classic these days than having the impact that it had on horror, like things like Halloween. It doesn't seem like it's as mainstream, even though they've done a couple remakes over the years. I feel like it needs more credit for what it was and the influence it had after it.
Which is crazy to me to think about, because of, it's crazy for me to think about that because it's going to be turning 50 years this year. And Black Christmas will be turning 50. Sorry, next year, 1974. Black Christmas paved the way for movies like Halloween, but Halloween was really what made the idea and the concept of the slasher it actually put it on the map. Like, you wouldn't have Friday the 13th. You wouldn't have a lot of the other copycats that came in the 80s if it wasn't for Halloween.
So Halloween made the slasher villain more mainstream than the other one did, than Black Christmas did. The Killer in Black Christmas was more of a story tool to progress everything, to kill people, where Halloween made Michael Myers a focus and a character of the movie itself.
Yeah.
Which is what went on with the other big franchises. The killer ends up becoming the star as opposed to the survivors and people getting killed. The killer is the star that you're there to see. And that's because of Halloween.
Yeah, and I really genuinely love Halloween. I love how simple it is. That's part of the reason that, I love slashers. Slashers are like the genre that I typically watch when it comes to horror. And I think they watch them because like I can literally just turn my brain off and watch them. But, I think there's a lot of depth that Halloween has depth that I feel like a lot of other slashers don't have.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of smart slashers out there, so to speak.
I bring up Leslie Vernon.
You know what I mean?
As it is, yeah. As it is relevant to the
but that's
Yeah, I'm like 100.
He's back.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Oh, John,
and he's back.
hear me?
I can. We can.
I'm back.
We can hear you now.
It's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I think this is one of those
I can't hear you.
Oh, I don't know what to say on that end. I'm gonna mute you until you figure it out, my guy. I think it's one of those things that like I really genuinely like love them. And I think you brought up the choose your own adventure. Like every version of Michael Myers that we see has something that is still tied to its foundation. Which kind of shows the powerhouse of simplicity, right? Like I feel like you don't really need to have a killer that is overly complex. Now I want to ask you this because like Ed, if Mickey is still around, possibly hearing us, he lost again. So I'm curious if you like how do you feel about the decision that the two of them, Michael and Laurie, are brother and sister. It has been famously mentioned, and please sound off in the comments below what you guys think about this. But it's also worth mentioning that like Carpenter's gone on record. He hates this decision. He hates the fact that he ever made them the two of them brother and sister. So like, where do you land with that?
Well, isn't that part of the reason why the last trilogy they didn't ride the storyline of them being brother and sister? Just that they were kind of connected somehow, which they eventually debunked that too in this last trilogy.
Yeah, so the reason that is because of that exact reason. I personally like I don't hate it because I think by making them brother and sister, it adds a lot of we can hear you.
Hey.
I think it adds a lot of like emotional core. Like I always go back to the example of like Rob Zombie's Halloween
flavor,
2.
my boy.
The flavor adds to like a lot of the emotional core of them, and I think that's part of the reason that I think it works as well as it does. I forgot what I was gonna say. Mickey distracted me.
I know, I'm beautiful. I'm out of the car though, so that's good. Maggie, how are you still running around, bro? She's old as hell now. Ain't she?
He's back.
I am, dude. Just like Michael Myers, I'll always be back.
He disappears for 4 years and then comes back, and the spirit of
Yeah.
Corey
No, dude,
Cunningham.
I was sitting there. I was talking to my people. I was like, yo, I hope they're not expecting me to be back on in like 30 seconds because it's going to be like 5 minutes.
Yeah. I knew what I was gonna say now. Like part of the reason that I really love Rob Zombie's the second one is because Michael's basically they're estranged, and you're kind of having this emotional fallout of Lori. Not
She
only
never got to meet Little Bit.
yeah, you also like have the fallout of the events of the first film, but also at the same time this truth that like she's now brother and sister with him. She's now related to this serial killer.
Yeah, I never really understood the whole family aspect at first, but eventually, like as you pay attention to the story, it starts to make more sense because you know, I had never really been a story, or well, I was a kid. I wasn't paying attention to storyline. Hey, Maria.
I mean, I love it. My brain is kind of toast, so.
Yeah, you've been doing this for how many hours today so far?
Probably a lot.
We started at 5, so I'm only a few hours into it, but also my day as a whole has been kind of poo-poo. So
how long are you going to be doing the stream before you switch over with another host?
20 minutes. So I get a break in a few minutes.
Hell yeah.
Who's the host after you?
Brilliant but lazy, which
It's
will be
you,
on
Mark.
in 20 minutes. So make sure that you guys check out.
It's Mark.
And then we'll be on live with That's High Praise. So I'll be back talking about Nicolas Cage, and we have no idea what we're talking about. So you know, we'll see it. It'll be cool.
Mark is the next host.
Mark is the next host. Mark could do like painting and stuff like that. So you know,
I'm on a podcast right now. I'll be in it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michael and Lori, brother and sister. What do you guys think?
Michael and Lori. I love how like it took you a second to get back to the conversation. Anyway, before we lose it again, Michael and Lori. I think that was like a damn good storyline to reach on to, because at first it was like, oh yeah, he's just going after this random teenage girl, and then now it was like, okay, so he's spiritually bonded with her.
See, I have like a love-hate relationship with this. I think it makes him scary in the original one, and I think they kind of just like added it in the second one for Carpenter. But like Rob Zombie was like the first time that I'd ever seen the brother-sister storyline done actually really well.
Oh yeah, Rob Zombie.
It's not scary at all.
His movie, but like, dude, Rob Zombie's story of Halloween was one of my favorite storylines they did, like of Michael himself, because a lot of people don't like how they empathize with Michael, but I don't think it's empathizing. I think it's just giving like the background of what turned Michael into the boogeyman.
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with this first one.
That's what I was saying during one of your absences. That's
One
why I
of my
like the Rob Zombie one.
We're just rolling with the punches today here at Victims and Villains.
That's why I like
this is completely
Rob Zombie
non-Halloween related, but
it's a dog. You know what else is non-Halloween related? Let's jump back into the chat here. So we got another question from Cam. Is the Winnie the Pooh horror movie, which he's referring to, Blood and Honey, any good? Yes, it is.
I haven't seen it.
It's really dumb, but
I bet.
It's one of those that's so bad it's good.
Yes. Have you seen it, Mark?
I've heard a lot about it. I haven't seen it yet.
I saw it in theaters and it was great. Any news on the sequel? They are making it
for me, dude.
I don't understand. I've never watched Evil Bong. Like,
Dude,
what is
Evil
it?
Bong is so bad, but how bad it is what makes it.
Full Moon is one of those ones that I'm just kind of like. Obviously, I like Subspecies, which is another Full Moon series because the poster's right behind me. But I've never gotten into the Evil Bong.
Dude,
It's-
Evil Bong.
yeah, it's-
One day, I told my girlfriend and her brother, I was like, "Yo, let's just sit down and watch all the Evil Bongs," and
Aren't
we
there,
did.
like 20
And that
of
was
them?
yeah. And I wasted about a day of my life doing that. But the movie, it was wild. It was I'm not gonna say LA. It
Yeah,
was
I
pretty
did
funny.
that when we.
It was one of those.
when,
I hate how much I like it.
Hey,
when we
sometimes
did
that's
our
great, man.
episode for like really bad movies.
Oh,
When we did our episode for really bad movies, I sat down and watched Sharknado, Lamageddon,
God, I hate
and
that movie so
Velocipaster in like one sitting.
That movie and Piranha
Which
were like
one?
on the same level.
look, go check
Sharknado.
out
Which
our
one? Velocipaster?
episode on Abyss Gazing of that. That was a fun episode. Devon streams tomorrow at 6 a.m. So if you guys are up, get up
Have you
early,
watched
stream with
Sharknado?
him.
That movie sucks.
Sharknado is terrible, but happy birthday! It celebrates 10 years this year. Yeah. So at this point, we're just kind of spitballing. Talk to us about horror movies in the comments because that seems to be the theme of this episode.
All right.
Yeah. So this Wednesday, you guys can catch a brand new episode where we'll be discussing Phantasm with the band Gone Cold. They're a great band. They just recently put out a brand new EP, which you guys can check out as well wherever you guys get your podcast from.
Hey, get off me, mofo.
Yeah. So, yeah, we are also here raising money for victims and villains. If you guys want to help us get continue to get mental health resources into conventions, film festivals, $1 can help.
Get out.
I just posted the link in the show in the chat below.
Right,
So check it out. Mark, what's the worst horror movie you've ever seen?
Trying to remember the name of it. It came out mid 2000. Couple broke down, and I can't remember the name of it, but a couple
It's
breaks
live.
down, and they wander out to this house in the middle of the woods,
It's live.
and it's like almost like a slasher movie. They kept talking about the Tin Man coming to kill him, and you get to the end of the movie and find out it's more or less a metaphor for the resurrection of Christ.
You're not talking about F, man. I can't remember what the name of it is. I feel like I know what movie you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called.
Dude, have y'all ever seen that movie? It's about like this landlord.
I got a feeling
puts
you
up a
do.
bunch of
That's the thing.
cameras and shit. And the landlord is like evil. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a really fucking bad movie. I know that.
What's your favorite bad movie? Comment below. Let us know. We have 12
What?
minutes left
It's Eagles 2018.
before we end at Brilliant But Lazy.
Favorite is going to end up probably. It's probably going to be Evil Dead.
Man,
Evil Dead.
I'll
series.
say it. I'll say it.
That's my
My favorite
bad
bad
go-to
horror
movie.
movie is Evil Bong.
Favorite.
Evil Dead is not a bad movie,
what?
though.
Evil Dead is an awful movie.
I said it's my favorite.
Evil Dead is not a terrible
you
movie
said, tell us-
whatsoever. Oh,
I never said it was. The last thing I heard before some like locking up was tell us your favorite movie in the comments. So, yeah, we're all having technical difficulties here.
Technical difficulties. Do. All right. Well, I have something else that I need to play that'll align with our first panel on cosplay and mental health. So I think that's going to do it for us on this episode of Abyss Gazing. Mickey, where can people find Rest Aside?
Dude, you can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, at the Canal Club tomorrow. 6 o'clock doors. We got a ticket link in our bio. Come out, come see us play some good music. We got we got we got Monster Mosh next month. You can see us there. And then we got some other cool shit going on with Victims and Villains that we can't talk about just yet.
Nope.
Mwahaha.
But yeah, you guys can check us out. We are you guys can check out Bizgazing wherever you guys get your podcast from. So go hit follow on Restless Side. Go hit
Watch our new music video for Sorrow as well.
go hit the subscribe button on Bizgazing. And yeah, we'll provide links in the show notes below. So thank you guys for hanging out with us, and
All right, you guys.
we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Later.
Later.
Yep.